Hello guys, welcome to another episode of Clues, Cues and Reviews, and we're talking about One Piece! Now, it is 11:15 at the point of recording. It's going to be a longer video, so more than likely I won't be able to render another one in time to be able to release it. So, My Hero Academia, sorry, gonna hit the back burner. Probably do that tomorrow, fingers crossed, nothing crazy happens and I shall be able to do that. That being said, let's get on to it. The way we're going to do it is because we've got a two chapter review. Last chapter that came out 864, this week's chapter, and plenty to discuss. So without further ado, let's get into this review. Sure, chapter 864, the last release before the current release of One Piece. A lot to discuss. I'm going to keep it short and sweet because this more than likely will spill over into a long video. But let's talk about stuff I found interesting. So, the shock of the photo being broken. Now, first of all, the fact that Big Mom could not kind of make up her mind between what was more shocking to the cake or the breaking of the photo kind of left us at an impasse. What made it funnier was when like Brooke revealed himself and they're like, oh, he took his face off. He goes, no, I'm like this. And she's like, Brooke, I thought you died. And he was like, I died a long time ago. I just like that. That was kind of cool. Brooke is one of my favorite characters. I've always wanted him to shine, and this arc has really kind of brought that forward. Yo-ho-ho-ho! Then we have other elements of this, and this part was about Pudding. So Pudding is trying to save face, I guess. She's trying to shoot Sanji. She's like, I've tricked so many people, and who is she really trying to kid at this point? I mean, even the seniors of her family are not like, he's like, move out the way, you useless. You could have done this. And who does it turn out to be? The third son of Big Mom, brother Daifuku, who basically looks like a genie, and he's doing his thing, and Sanji's going in to help save Pudding, and these little things are sowing the seeds for potentially her joining the Straw Hats in the future, or being an ally at least. Sanji is being pushed back, so this guy Daifuku is someone we should not trifle with. That being said, we're also introduced to the fourth son, who has a heat ability, and Pedro tries fighting him and forgets, and realizes quite quickly that he can heat anything up. Again, we see a little bit of Jinbei's kind of, I guess, knowledge, because he's like, don't fight him directly, don't hold on to him, he's gonna heat things up. I really like that. And then we see Besh. Besh is now covering his track. He holds down Luffy, and he gives him clues what he needs to do. So he's trying to save face while still carrying out this plan. Now, he sees something in Dogtooth's face. Dogtooth sees a future that makes him white in the face, which basically tells us that he has seen a future that he does not want to see pass. That being said, people with haki and the ability to do things can create that. So the idea of this isn't like the whole idea of just time in general. You may be able to see a future, but there's no guarantee you'll be able to stop that future. Destiny, kind of the cogs of time, still will move forward. So by him seeing the future the first time and changing it ultimately has led to a worse kind of situation. Or is all this part of destiny and how it's meant to kind of unwind? Order knows best, but ultimately that leaves Beiju with this kind of conviction to move forward and move into chapter 865 where the craziness begins. Let's get into that. Now, the most recent chapter of 865 had a lot of symbolism that I actually quite enjoyed. So I'll cover a lot of this, but I want to talk about the first thing. The first thing for me was Caesar. The amount of times we've talked about that mirror being a key component in this whole thing keeps worrying me that something's going to happen. As we find out later in the chapter, Big Mom goes crazy. For some reason, I see that this mirror is going to break or something's going to happen. That worries the hell out of me. That being said, a lot of other crazy stuff happens. So let's talk about the whole Big Mom situation. Now, Dogtooth is trying his best to effectively stop from what he saw from happening. That being said, with Pedro and Jinbei and Beige giving it some to Dogtooth, he is struggling, and that needs to be done. And I think that was done correctly, because being like a sweet commander of Big Mom, everyone has to pitch in to do their part. It would be weird for Jinbei to all of a sudden be able to destroy a commander. So for them to be using all the combined efforts to do their thing, it lends to the idea of how powerful Dogtooth is. Hatakuri. That also being said, he still managed to get a hold of Luffy, but Luffy with his Gongo no ability still manages to do what he's meant to do, which is show Big Mom the broken photo. This sends her in a frenzy, and it begins. So basically, the main part of the plan was to get to this stage. It didn't happen quite like they wanted it to, but in amongst chaos, things can happen, and it begins. Mama's gone crazy. Basically, everyone's fighting left, right, and center, and this helps Sanji, because Sanji in this chapter is struggling with Daifuku. He's getting pushed back, and Reju's like grateful that he's still, after everything, still trying to help them. What I liked about this was the fact that when he did break them free, with the help of Chopper and Nami, of course, he stood on top of the table doing that, and it kind of like symbolizes that he stood above them, kind of rising from the ashes, a phoenix. He's meant to be the ugly duckling, and now he's a swan, and he's like proud of who he is, and he's broken his family free. So even though they've kind of, you know, mistreated him, he still is there for his family in his own way. That being said, last week's chapter, I didn't really mention it in the early section, the pitiful display from Judge was, did you feel sorry for him? What do you think about that? The way that the children, the boys reacted was understandable, considering they don't have no emotions. But there was one thing that's mentioned twice now in these two chapters, one in each chapter: raid suits. If they had the raid suit, they could do more. I'm waiting to see what this raid suit about. Is there one for Sanji? Is there something that they can use as a power-up, the technology of the Germa? I'd love to see what that is. That's really important. But that's just that symbolism, you know, rising above them all, standing above them, helping them, and being this swan when he's meant to be an ugly duckling was very beautiful, a beautiful thing to see. Now, Page is ready. He's got his guns ready. He's ready to make his move. We get this internal dialogue, a little bit about Mother Caramel. Big Mom's like, where did you go? These lot are not listening to me. And then we get these last few panels. 63 years ago, before this current timeline, Elbaf. And I was like, what? Elbaf, we are finally getting more information on Elbaf. With the whole thing with the princes before 5 years ago, with all these mentions from Usopp wanting to go there, with us meeting giants, with us meeting the giants Dorian Broggy before. All these little things have been leading to this moment. That being said, we're going to have to wait. We are going to have to wait because no One Piece next week. It's going to be a long 2 weeks, but we have plenty of stuff to get excited about, plenty of stuff to theorize about. I cannot wait. We're also probably going to find out about the age of Big Mom through this. Are we going to find out more about just Mother Caramel? Are we going to find out how old Big Mom really is? There's plenty to kind of look forward to. I hope you can be there with me. Hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff, and I will see you in the next one.